Well, I think it's, first of all, down in Gilmore, one of the big issues there, once more, offshore intermittent power precincts, so-called renewables. People hate them, like they hate them in the Hunter, like they hate them in New England. Urban Australia, please hear us, we hate them. Now, what you have with nuclear, there's two ways to campaign. I've done it for a little bit, like Peter knows, 20 years. You got to create binary issues, stop the boats, repeal the carbon tax. It helps if they're already defined. You don't have to go out there and define them. The thing about nuclear is you have to explain nuclear physics and nuclear energy to one of the only countries in the Western world that doesn't use it or doesn't have it. And it's a very complicated task. So your preamble is extensive before you get into the substance of the binary issue. And because your preamble's extensive, it gives a great vulnerability for people to just come and bomb it with BS. You know, it's going to $600 billion. It's, you know, you're going to have three-headed fish and all this sort of rubbish. And that is just part of the process of what you have to deal with. I would have gone to a more binary issue of something that was already defined, you're going to belt it out of the park, and concentrate on that and challenge the Labor Party, say, seeing you believe it's all market economics as to why we don't do it, just remove the prohibitions. You don't need them anymore.
Look, I just thought they got the cart before the horse, right? What they needed to do was to define what was happening now and to remind people every single day that there was a promise that they were going to get $275 back, and then the government had to start subsidising power. This policy was self-evidently wrong from before the last election because the Labor Party hasn't taken into account at all the way that electricity is priced. Now, it's a difficult thing, right? But this modelling we keep hearing about, it's the lowest cost of energy when it's generating. It mostly doesn't generate. And so you needed to get people to understand that the system that we're building will simply never work, will always drive up the cost of electricity, and to say to them, forget the modelling, look at your bill. What does your bill tell you?
Yeah,
every single day, every single week from 100%. Every single MP needed to do that. And then they needed to say, if you want to get to net zero, which is a fanciful target, but if you want to get to net zero, there is only one energy source that delivers baseload power, and that's nuclear. So why don't we just lift the ban and have the debate? Simple as that. Lift the ban, have the debate. If people are not going to invest in it, then they won't invest in it. But do it. Just do it that way around. So I just felt that they needed to make the case against what was happening now, and there's plenty of room for that.
They wanted to name sites because they didn't want a campaign saying in every seat a nuclear power plant's going.
But I'll give you two sites. Fremantle, Sydney. That's where the nuclear subs are going. They'll be docking
I
in ports.
I understand. I'm not trying to get into debate.
And
I'm just saying, I agree with you. I'm just saying this was the method behind the madness, or the reason behind it.
Look, it's one of the things that I applaud. At least they were thinking a little bit big. I just think in terms of the sales pitch, I would start with the very simple thing is what's there now is not working, is always going to be expensive. And they have no idea what this is going to be.
Give them the problem before the solution.
Yeah, sort of and then go to the solution.
And in the way that the PM held up the Medicare card, you know, I would have been out there every single day with my bill, my Origin Energy bill. Everyone's got one at home on the fridge. Everyone opens them up with trepidation, wondering how the heck you're going to pay them. Everyone's bill was supposed to be cheaper under that bloke, so we obviously lied. And every time we pulled the card out, I would have had a bill. It's a bill.
And people, I actually used the nuclear power plant as a plus in my campaign, and we'll see how it goes in Muswellbrook. I said, I want it. I want it. Who wouldn't want $10 billion invested in Muswellbrook with all the boilermakers, fitters and turners, electrician jobs that come in? You know,
I would have said anyone who lives 100 k's inside a nuclear power zone gets free power for the rest of their lives.
I think all this does is underline the fact that this is not the Labor Party's fault. This is the coalition's fault in the way that it campaigned. And if you couldn't see the Medicare campaign coming for the third election in a row and hadn't worked out some way of dealing with that, well, you're not thinking. The thing that gets me about the way that this campaign was conducted, it looked like it took the coalition by surprise.